600 TV interviews, Syndicate 2, Amy Currie, 24th of November, director is Morgan. Take 2.
Hello, I'm Amy Currie and I'm joined here today with Dean Simmons. Dean Simmons is the Deputy Chair for the Christchurch Arts Centre Trust Board. So Dean, how do you think the media coverage of the rebuild is going?
The rebuild across the city, I think naturally there's stories that are focusing on the bricks and mortar, the people's issues with being displaced from their houses, insurance issues. I think particularly with the Arts Centre there was a lot of emotion around the loss of something that the access that people have had there that they've loved. There was a lot of emotion around to use the words that were quoted in the media, the eviction of tenants, where in actual fact, we were in a very, very awkward situation where, in terms of public access, we had to unfortunately end those tenancies. So the coverage of the rebuild, I guess it started off, there's a lot of emotion around that, and that continues. I guess that there's a lot of short-term focus, and I would like to see that perhaps move into, we're a year down the track, and I'd like us to move into a bit more of a balanced view. There's going to be a lot of good news stories coming out of the Arts Centre soon, so hopefully that'll change.
How do you think media coverage can improve overall?
I think the media coverage will improve if perhaps the arts editors or the news editors come and talk to some of the advocates in those particular areas, like if it's arts or if it's heritage, about some of the long-term goals that these people might have. I know that I actually was quoted myself as saying that the Arts Centre will probably take 15 years to be rebuilt. But we are keen on, where we can, opening up parts of that campus, and so it would be nice to have that opportunity to tell those good news stories. But I guess that at the moment the newspapers and news is filled with focus around the election, and there is issues obviously in New Plymouth with the arena. There's a lot of other stories out there, but I think it would be nice to move away from perhaps some of those negative stories and move into some positive territory.
What about media coverage for the arts in Christchurch?
Well, I suppose that again has focused on particular stories like the Court Theatre and the development that they've undertaken at Addington. It is isolated, I suppose, on some of the issues again that those organisations have around the loss of their facilities. So very isolated, I think, and I think there's an opportunity for the media generally to understand a little bit more about the objectives and the projects that are being undertaken, and perhaps explore some of those areas. So,
how do you think they can get a better understanding?
Well, I think it's been an incredibly interesting time for us all to live through. One of the criticisms, I guess, of the arts sector for the last, 15, 20, probably 50 years, is that the organisations have been quite disjointed, and there's been a lot of replication, I suppose, in terms of the administration. And one thing a real positive that's come out of that is that there's a group that's been brought together called Arts Voice as an advocacy group, and there are a number of projects that they're looking to develop. So I suppose in terms of the media, there's options to come and talk to Arts Voice. There's an executive group that's been put together, and one of the key members of that is the Dean of the Creative Industries faculty, Jane Gregg. So there's always an opportunity to come and talk to that group as a whole, or talk to Jane individually. And I think that there's some really exciting opportunities. One of them, there's the Isaac Theatre Royal that's being, in terms of the rebuild there. There's a project that I'm involved in called the Art Circus, which is putting some performance space around the Chewham Street car park area. And then there's a River of Arts initiative that will be developed over a number of years. So Yeah, I think there's lots of areas, but I don't really see that in the media.
How has your relationship with the media been?
I took over the chairmanship of the Arts Centre Trust Board at a really critical time. It was at a time when the student union building, which had the Dux Deluxe business in there, the owner of that business, Richard Syndicate, was generating a lot of media noise around his plight and being evicted from the site. And so I had to deal with a lot of media inquiries around, firstly, understanding why those tenancies had to end at the Arts Centre. And it fundamentally came down to a health and safety issue. It still is a health and safety issue. That's why the site will be closed for many years. And I think it was a real education process for a lot of people. And so it was just for me to educate all of the people that were asking me about what was going on, to rather than wrapping all of these, because there'd been issues we'd had with the Music Conservatorium project. There had been long running other issues with other tenants down there, stall holders, and so the media, I guess I could say the media, the people I was talking to, so they were all wrapped up in one story, when in actual fact the whole issue was health and safety, and so that thankfully has been calmed right down. So I found my relationship with the media, initially it was very much on call. You know, I was answering a lot of questions from the press. Abby Scott, I had to appear on Close Up, which was great. You know, we were able to give our story. So it was actually, in one sense, you know, there was a lot of urgency and it was a very nervous time for me. But in actual fact, it calmed a lot of it down. So it was a fantastic opportunity to actually present our story. So it turned out it was a positive experience.
Oh, well, that's all we've got time for, but thank you very much for your time, Dean. It's been greatly appreciated. And from all of us at Syndicate too, thank you for joining us.